on my social media page. I want to see all young athletes.
The highly anticipated fight has become even more exciting as Floyd Mayweather, a well-known boxer and Davis's former mentor, teams up with Shakur Stevenson to criticize Davis Mayweather. I'm going to say this, and people will hate me for saying it, but I don't care because I'm bold like I take risk. I'm a risk taker. I say what's on my mind, both men. I've already talked about that on my social media page. Both Stevenson and Mayweather challenged Davis, reaffirming their faith in Stevenson's ability to defeat him. Mayweather emphasized Stevenson's technical skill, defensive ability, and strategic thinking, implying that these attributes would be essential to guaranteeing a win. The young fighter has what it takes to beat Davis in the ring, Mayweather said, praising Stevenson's work ethic and promise. Encouraged by Mayweather's support, Stevenson repeated the sentiments, saying he was eager to fight Davis and that he respected Davis as a fighter, but that he was prepared to establish himself as the better boxer. Stevenson highlighted his commitment to preparation and training, saying he's been carefully drafting his plan to overcome Davis's advantages. Nevertheless, Shakur Stevenson's internet critique, he just did his job and won the fight, according to Clarissa, Shields, and Terence Crawford, who don't think so. The controversy started when Stevenson's match against Edwin in Los Angeles last November, when fans swiftly turned into detractors who called his performance uninspired and boring. The same thing happened in last weekend's fight against Artem, when Stevenson opted for prudence over aggression in order to win via points rather than action. Although Heron's main goal was not to win the fight, Bud Crawford and T-Rex's Shield sprang to his defense after it. It seemed like the entire community turned against him because to Shakur Stevenson's criticism of his performance. Terence Crawford wrote them little brother Shakur by jumping on ex Stevenson. Let them know how you feel because they aren't keeping their feelings to themselves. It's crucial to emphasize the close brotherly bond between Crawford and Stevenson, which is evident from their years of mutual support. Soon after, Clarissa Shields, a staunch supporter of Shakur, showed up on the scene. She often called the young fighter her little brother and said she was going to watch him be publicly humiliated online so there would be no possibility of interior humiliation. People frequently criticize me, asking why it's okay for them to voice their thoughts, say hurtful things, and convey their emotions. But Stevenson, who has followed Shields and Crawford's instructions, is able to defend himself. Stevenson appeared to be aggressively defending himself against a wave of critics in a tirade of tweets on the platform. One of his tweets read, "Bro, everybody is opening their mouth with an opinion. Let me tell you how I feel after defeating Haratunen." Though Stevenson has more to say, the fans' disappointment was not unexpected during the match itself. The boos began to echo through the arena. The lively crowd from Stevenson's hometown had anticipated an action-filled fight, but what they witnessed resembled more of a running contest, with Stevenson and Haratunen engaging only in brief skirmishes. In the post-fight interview, Stevenson blamed the boos on his opponent, but when fans took to social media, everything quickly changed. They wanted a knockout. So Stevenson responded, "The most hated man in the sport. I appreciate you all for it. Thank you, much respect to he came in shape and did what he could last night. I respect it. I was disappointed with the reaction from the fans." Stevenson gave props to the people who supported him and wrote, "Tell your favorite fighters to jump in the ring. Since I'm not like that, I'll be ready. What is in store for Shakur Stevenson is now officially a free agent after declining a $15 million offer from elite fighters for 5 fights. He might take on more challenging opponents, but who will agree to take him on and endure all the criticism?" Meanwhile, Shakur Stevenson openly discussed his reasons for giving his own shooting a C+. "At the end of the day, the first 3 or 4 rounds I was trying to get adjusted because he was awkward and not like a normal fighter. He was bouncy, so he gives you little feints and then throws some punches. So I'm like, okay, I'm getting a little adjusted. But then after a while, I'm like, all right, let me pick it up and start stepping to this dude," he said, acknowledging that the fight did not dispel critics' unfast counting for the fight. Shakur went on to say that Haranian was a decent fighter who understood how to live. He clarified that fighters make every effort to last 12 rounds. Shakur believed he did his best during the bout, occasionally letting his hands go and punishing Haranian heavily, who was mostly concerned with keeping upright, he added. I'm not sure what I'm willing to do. I need to sit at the table and figure it out. I need to start over and decide what I want to accomplish. C+, in response to a question from Fight Hub TV regarding his ideal opponent, he categorically stated that Jin Davis would be his first choice. As I mentioned earlier, it can be difficult to get these guys out of there, especially at the top level, when they come in here and say, I want to survive. I want to make sure I make it to round 12. Shakur stated that he was ready to return to the ring as soon as possible after taking no punishment in his most recent fight. He said that he wanted to fight Tank Davis and other fighters who seemed to fight and win because they had something to lose and weren't just spectators. He said that he wasn't interested in guys who were just here to watch the show. Instead, he wanted to make sure they had something to lose, just like me. Or given that top-ranked promoter Bob Arum said that talks are underway for Vasyl Lenkovo to face Davis next, Stevenson had a very obvious message for his lightweight opponent. He may have to wait a little while longer for his opportunity. Meanwhile, free agent Shakur, there have been rumors that Stevenson's recent face-to-face conversation with promoter Floyd Mayweather could be the next step for the recently free Newark native. Even if Shakur doesn't have a lot of fans and isn't a big pay-per-view attraction, Mayweather has the money to contract him, but it's still unclear if it's the correct decision for him. The 27-year-old Stevenson hopes to land big bouts with Davis Vasylenko. Although Shakur might be in a better position to attract the big fish tank Davis if Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia join with Mayweather, the hostility that currently exists between Tang and Floyd Mayweather could make things more difficult for Shakur if he sides with Mayweather Promotions. Why Tank would want to help Mayweather by agreeing to fight Shakur is the question. Under his banner, Stevenson is attempting to accomplish the same goal. He wants to fight the best opponent available. He is asking if he can do so. Since his contract is about to expire, I'm hoping we can get together so I can show him Mayweather's methodical approach to tank matching throughout his career. Davis's potential would have been unintentionally hampered if Mayweather had chosen to face more difficult opponents over the previous 8 years, rather than the ostensibly easy triumphs. Despite the pampered matchmaking that was planned during Davis's time with Mayweather Promotions, he could have become a much more well-known figure in the boxing world. Shakur's greatest worry is working with a promoter who will handpick obscure opponents to burnish his record in an attempt to create a false celebrity through cunning matchmaking, all the while hoping the public is unaware of the plan. His ascent raises the question of why he didn't face Lomachenko years ago. After his contract with Top Rank expired, Shakur Stevenson, the reigning WBC lightweight champion, is looking for a new promoter. His most recent contest against Artem Haratunin signaled the end of this chapter, raising questions about his next career move. It's unclear if those people will be willing to fight Shakur. They might be put off by the idea, viewing his style as more evasive than enticing, which could cause the crowd to disapprove of them throughout their match. Signing Shakur Stevenson presents a risk for PBC, particularly in light of the possibility of pay-per-view broadcasts. If his bouts don't draw large audiences, it could damage their deal with Amazon Prime Video. Meanwhile, Floyd Mayweather recently criticized Jun for using tie-him-up boxes and angles to tie him up, saying that it would be an easy fight for him. He uses angles, and many fighters and professionals use them because he fights like a professional. However, it's only 3 rounds, and he uses angles wisely, so unless he can go out there and win after all the negotiations, who would Teddy Atlas, an experienced trainer and pundit with experience in the ring, has expressed his support for Tank according to the challenger of the hour, Atlas Davis, who is at his peak right now with a diverse skill set that showcases more than just his impressive punching power. Davis calls him a standout.